Ladies and gentlemen, my name is In the Game Kaya, and welcome to ITGK Survives Arc Day by Day. What you are currently looking at is my footage for days 6 through 8 when I recorded it the first time. And the game has auto-saved at this point, so when I went to edit it, there was nothing that could be done. I couldn't just delete my save, go back, and re-record it. So what you are about to see is a dramatic reenactment of days 6 through 8 and what I did with me flying around in spectator mode, trying to replicate the feeling of the footage that I got initially. So without further ado, we will now turn it over to the narrator for the rest of the video.
As Kaya awoke on day 6, he didn't know that everything he'd do over the next 3 days would fail to be recorded, and that he would have to go back and reenact so much of it. Thankfully, he'd have a narrator to help him with such a feat. He started the day by going to the nearby forest to collect resources that he would need as he worked on building a more permanent structure in his base: wood, thatch, flint, and other things, and also finishing the greenhouse around his garden. He then hopped on his Argent Davis and proceeded out to Herbivore Island so that he could get something that would help him greatly as he worked on further progressing his base, an Ankylosaurus. Not Ankylosaurus, Ankylosaurus. Look it up. While flying around Herbivore Island took a little bit of time, he was able to find an Anky that would fit his needs. Picking up the Ankylosaurus, he dropped it in a stone trap that he'd made, knocked it out with his crossbow, and then proceeded to leave and let it tame on its own. Making his way upriver, Kaya eventually found and tamed a raptor, knocking it out very quickly with only a couple of shots of his crossbow, and again leaving meat in it and letting it alone so that it could tame, then flying away again as he still had other important things to do on this journey. Coming up over a crest of trees, Kaya saw his destination off in the distance, Obsidian Mountain, the top of which had obsidian rocks and crystals, advanced resources he would need as he got further and further in the game. Returning to Herbivore Island, he collected his Ankylosaurus and made his way back to his home base so that he could continue collecting those advanced resources, this time metal. As the day drew to a close, Kaya put down a 6x6 foundation, the bottom of which would lay the base for what would be known as the tower. Knowing that caves were in his future, Kaya began crafting as many bullets as he could, then set out to tame a Castroidus. Searching between the two mountains in the northeast, Kaya found no such Castroidus. He then proceeded to search along the redwoods, again finding nothing, until he finally reached the far end and found what he was looking for. Bringing it home to tame it, he left it in his trap and stood next to it to make sure that it tamed properly, thus leaving him with a tamed Castroidus and all the utility tames and creatures that he would ever need. The search for and taming of the Castroidus took so long that by the time he made it to the cave with his bullets and raptor, it was already day 8. Looking for the Cave of the Hunter, Kaya found the entrance after walking past it several times, made his way inside, and prepared to face a gauntlet of insects on his way to the first artifact. Headed into the cave, Kaya made his way to the first split. Knowing that Megalania were common to spawn here, he took his time, looked at the ceiling, and spotted one hanging there waiting for him in the dark. He shot it down from the ceiling, and between the bites of his raptor and the bullets of his pistol, the Megalania stood no chance. Then, taking the split down to the left, Kaya stayed ever vigilant, his raptor one step behind him, ready for anything. He paced the halls, looking for whatever might be in his path. only to find a megalosaurus sleeping in the middle of the cave. Carefully stepping around it, Kaya peeked over the edge down the shortcut, but knew that he didn't have any crossbow bolts to make his way back up with a grappling hook. So instead, he made it down the long way, moving down, watching for spiders, scorpions, titanoboas, and other creatures that lurk in the caves. He made it all the way down the other side of the path, finding nothing. Actually nothing. The cave was desolate. Other than the Megalania and Megalosaurus, nothing seemed to have spawned. Approaching the artifact chamber, surely there would be creatures inside, such as spiders waiting for him. He crawled through the opening, leaving his raptor behind, grabbed the artifact and prepared for a fight. But again, there was nothing. Still nothing. Feeling honestly a little depressed, Kaya collected the artifact and made his way out of the cave, recollecting his raptor and retracing his steps back up and out, again, not being attacked the entire way. Honestly, I'm kind of glad this footage doesn't exist. It was a little embarrassing, to tell the truth. He spent the rest of day 8 putting up the walls, gates, and doors on the base level of the tower, then laid down after putting his stuff in a chest next to his bed to finally retire on the 3rd day.
So that does it for Arc Day by Day, days 6 through 8, the dramatic reenactment. Again, I'm sorry that I lost my footage, but it was nothing that I could do about it ultimately. So I'll try and back up my saves next time I get started making one of these. Thank you guys for watching. I understand this was different from my usual stuff. I hope you still enjoyed it. Again, make sure you leave a comment, let me know what you thought about it. And leave a like if you liked it, share it around. Any exposure I can get helps me out at this point. And I will see you guys tomorrow.